And I'm now scared of birds.
Oh, you should be.
I guess so. I mean, I thought they might not be real, but I guess they're murderous and very real.
What, trikes?
No, birds.
Oh. Incredible.
Hello and welcome to Steam Powered Movies. I am one of your hosts. My name is Mike.
I am Dana Fraedrich. I am a steampunk fantasy author, and I am disgruntled.
Oh, wow.
I've been waiting to talk about this for days.
Wow. Strong.
It's all coming out now.
Should we tell people what we're talking about?
Strap in, guys.
We are talking about the 2018 film Mortal Engines, directed by Christian Rivers. Did you know that this movie has a connection to one of the other movies that we have previously covered on this podcast?
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's that?
So this is like the second feature-length film directed by this director, Christian Rivers. His first feature-length film starred the guy who played Dr. Jekyll in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, that guy again.
Yeah.
And he was in Stardust as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was.
He keeps coming back.
Yeah,
I think maybe he has a little bit of a proclivity for steampunk, even if he doesn't know it.
Well,
he keeps coming back.
He wasn't in this film, but he was in the other film directed by this director.
Oh, I see.
Which we're talking about today, which is Mortal Engines, on this podcast, which is called Steam Powered Movies, where me, Mike, and Dana, also with me, we talk about steampunk films after we watch them. That's the order of things.
You sound like a bad liar trying to convince everyone that I'm definitely here and not, I don't know, a head in a jar.
And this podcast is real, not in your imagination. It's happening right now. So, okay, here we go. We're talking about Mortal Engines, a young adult fantasy film based on a book. Young adult
steampunk fantasy.
Steampunk, yes.
Well, I don't even know if it's really fantasy. It's definitely hard steampunk, though.
Yeah, when I looked it up on IMDb, this film, it said, you might also like Valerian, Alita, Battle Angel, Ender's Game, John Carter, Ready Player One. Are you sensing a theme?
Yeah, no, there's definitely some strong sci-fi themes, but also some strong, they tried really hard themes.
Well, they did try really hard. They made a 2-hour movie based on a steampunk novel. And Dana, what are your initial thoughts on Mortal Engines?
Here we go. Okay, so here's the thing. I read the book over the last couple of days.
Okay.
And I have to say, I did not enjoy it.
Oh, no.
At all.
Oh.
I did not enjoy the book at all.
Coming in strong.
And then I have to say, I actually enjoyed the film far more. But we're starting with a low bar of having not enjoyed the book.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
So I'm not sure, I don't know what that says for the movie. It's a weird thing. If you've only dated really, really bad dudes and then you meet a halfway decent guy and you're like, he's great. It's kind of like that.
Maybe like the main character in this story where she hadn't met anyone that liked her. And then the first guy she meets is like, I love you.
Okay. I have so many thoughts about all of that. Oh man, this is going to be a high energy podcast.
Oh, nice. Well, we had watched this movie before.
We did.
This is the second time we watched it. We watched it together a few years ago when it came out because we were like, hey, cool steampunky sci-fi movie. We like sci-fi stuff. Let's see if it's any good. I don't think we liked it the first time.
I didn't really like it, and I still have a lot of the same feelings about it. But like I said, having compared it to the book, I like it better now.
Okay. I will say that I liked it better this time.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that had to do with the quantity of alcohol I was consuming while watching it this time.
We did have some strong drinks tonight.
They were strong drinks. But the first few minutes of this movie start, and I'm like, kind of dope.
Yeah, no, the beginning is definitely the strongest part. It's very cool.
It comes in kind of the most steampunk at the start. So let's talk about that. Why are we talking about this movie? How, what's steampunk about it? basically steam-powered cities on treads.
Yeah. And we should say really quick, okay, for anybody who doesn't know, what is steampunk?
Sure. I mean, if you listen to this podcast before, you know, but welcome any new listeners.
Indeed.
Dana defines steampunk for us.
So I basically think of steampunk as like Victorian-ish sci-fi. Like you have basically Victorian level technology, but with artistic license taken, maybe a bit of extrapolation from those initial steam-powered energy sources. Which
in this one, in the very beginning, we see coal-powered steam engines that are
just everything powered. They just burn everything and eat it.
Right. That are powering these like massive, like tread-bearing vehicles that are the size of cities, and they are basically cities on wheels / treads.
And it's an extremely cool concept, I must say.
Yeah, it's really intriguing. And in the beginning, like we start with our main character on this city. It's kind of just chilling out. And then they're like, there's a predator city, which is a pretty cool term.
Yeah.
Love it.
As well as municipal Darwinism.
Yes, I wrote that down too. Kind of like they bring it up in the voiceover in the beginning that it's like the survival of the fittest, but now it's on the citywide level.
Yeah.
So you've got these like larger hunting cities chasing down these smaller cities. The small city we start on like breaks apart into like 6 or 7 different pieces going different directions.
And not only that, but visually speaking, this film is extremely cool. Like the visuals are beautiful. If you don't watch it for any other reason,
at parts, yeah.
I know I'm going to disagree with you. Like overall, like I'm not going to get into like nitty gritty of like CG or whatever. Just
sure.
Like on the whole, visually, it's very cool. They're doing a lot of interesting stuff, especially with the mechanics of the cities, like the way that when we have the opening scene and we're seeing Salt Hook is the name of the little mining town.
Okay.
That's going to be eaten. You see it like
literally
pieces of
eaten,
folding away. And that's so neat.
Yeah.
Like one of the fun things that I love about steampunk and that I like to play with is like things that collapse and like expand and like can kind of just almost Transformer like.
Yeah.
Transformers more than meets the eye.
And yeah, we definitely see that first with like the city that breaks into smaller cities and little parts like fold and tuck away.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see it with the last little piece of that city that the little engine can't really start, and they try to run away, but they don't go side to side for some reason. They go straight, just like every chase sequence in a movie.
Know.
Why don't you go sideways? Just go sideways. But anyway.
Always zig and zag.
Yep, go zig and zag. They're shooting for the gap in the mountains that the big city can't fit through, which I guess that's something. But the big city like harpoons them and literally opens up its mouth. It has these like mechanical jaws that like open up and eat the smaller city. And it's like it's really cool.
You see later on, like it is huge, like chainsaws basically come down and like tear it to pieces, and it's used for fuel. It's a really, really interesting concept. So like, and I am in love with the opening scenes of this film. Like it's extremely cool. They do a lot of exposition in a very short amount of time. And what's funny is, okay, so digressing a little bit, but it is related.
Sure.
When I was reading the book, I read it on audio, and like I'm hearing the descriptions and everything. I was like, well, I can see why, because I remembered the film was kind of a lot very fast,
mm-hmm.
and maybe like didn't go over things as well as I would have liked. And so while I was listening to the book, I was thinking like, well, I mean, it's kind of Lord of the Rings level storytelling. Like it's a big story with a lot of characters and a lot of ground is covered. And then the opening credits of the film come up, and it's Wingnut Films who are responsible for the Lord of the Rings films. And I was like, oh wait, I mean,
produced by Peter Jackson. He's one of the producers.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so like, oh no, maybe not. But having now watched the entire film again, and having now realized that like I misremembered certain things from years ago when we first watched it, that actually they do a better job than I was initially remembering giving them credit for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a lot happening,
Mhm.
a lot of characters, a lot of different factions. I remember at one point thinking, kind of writing down, like, man, there's so many storylines and
Mhm.
characters and settings. This could be more than one movie. This could probably be a trilogy
Mhm.
if they wanted to really flesh out like the different parts of the world and let
Mhm.
us get to know the different characters. It might be better that way. I as it is overall, it felt a bit rushed to me. I think we'll probably get into that more a little bit
Mhm.
later. But I want to talk a little more about.
I
Like-
should just say, like, while you're talking about that, there were at least 4 individual POVs in the telling of the book.
Oh, okay.
It's a big book.
Wow, yeah, because in the movie, we basically just follow Tom
Mhm.
and then Hester. Once they team up, they're basically the POV for the movie for the entire time.
Right.
But a little bit talking about the technology, right? Starting with the steampunkness, with the steam powered. Interesting that this one, compared to some of the other films that we've covered so far,
Mhm.
they were actually set in the Victorian era,
Yeah.
right? The origination of steam powered technology, whereas this goes to the very far future.
It's several thousand years in the future.
I don't think they actually say how
They
much.
don't. I'm pulling this from the book. I am doing the thing where, like, at least I kind of like conflate knowing things from the book and pulling them into this podcast.
Fair enough, because the movie doesn't address it. The movie just calls the people of our time frame, the 21st century, the ancients,
Right.
Whose deities include minions.
Actually, push up my glasses here. So in the book, I have a headcanon about
Oh,
this.
no.
In the book, the 21st century deities were Pluto and Mickey, but I have a feeling
Oh.
Disney was too expensive to license. And so they licensed the minions instead.
Yeah, I mean, insert joke here. It kind of works depending on what generation you're shooting for.
Mm-hmm.
With some of the other jokes, I thought it was a little bit curious. I'm like, what generation are they aiming this at? Because they had the Minions thing, they had the Twinkie reference, and then what was the other thing? Oh, there was an eBay reference.
Oh, was there? I didn't get the eBay one.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna flash like forward in the movie a bit. The scene where Tom and Hester are being auctioned off as slaves, we presume, or maybe to be made into meat. That's kind of hinted
That was
at.
a little sus. Like, I definitely got stronger vibes that they are going to be human sausages.
At least one of them, one of the buyers was a maker of sausages.
Right.
So, yeah, who knows what the other buyers were buying for?
I mean, yeah.
It's not,
It's a lot.
yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when our Asian outlaw,
Anna Fang.
Anna Fang.
I want to be like her when I grow up.
pretty much the coolest character in this entire
Oh,
movie.
she's so good. Oh, we're going to spoil it. We should just tell you all right now. The movie is going to be spoiled. Pause this podcast. Go watch the film if you don't want it spoiled. I'll wait.
Yeah.
But let's carry on.
So anyway, back to the eBay reference. So when Anna comes in and bids like 50,000 or something crazy, and then has a little talk with the auctioneer, and he's threatening her because there's a price on her head. And then she's like, how about we settle this now with buy it now? And then shoots him in the face.
Oh, is that okay.
I'm pretty sure because it's an auction, and then she says, buy it now.
Uh-huh.
It's an eBay reference.
Oh, that's funny.
So Twinkies, eBay, Minions.
I definitely think
Kinda
they
all over the
were. I
place.
mean, the target audience is in this case like YA, like, but also YA, at least in the book world, spans from ages like 13 to 35.
Okay.
Like, honestly, some of the biggest YA readers are like between 30 and 35, and kind of all in there. But anyway, I think they're definitely aiming at that demographic, and also predominantly female are YA readers. As far as the film, I think they were going for like a broader audience.
Yeah, so maybe they kind of hit every generation there with some of the joke references.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so back to talking about when it's set, they did the thing where this is post-apocalypse,
Mm-hmm.
and now the super futuristic technology is from the past, but technology has kind of reset. So we're back to steam power as being the predominant form of powering things and getting around.
Yeah.
Instead of being set in Victorian, like we're super future, but with a reset of the technology.
I do actually really like that about this story. I will say the world building of the book and the film is extremely interesting because they kind of cobble together tech from everywhere. Like steam power is actually really basic because like you burn a fuel, you boil water, it creates steam, steam provides the power. Like it's really, really mechanical and basic, but they also have like, they have radios and stuff. I don't know how radios work, but like, I think basic radios are like fairly, I mean, easy. So, but
Been
then
around
they're talking
for a long time.
Yeah. But then if we're talking like internet and the stuff that kind of seems like magic nowadays, like the Wi-Fi is basically just magic. Let's be honest. You can't tell me otherwise. Like that's harder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And they didn't have any of that. They didn't have like long distance communication. Even the flying things were like
the airships.
Yeah, which is very steampunk.
Oh, I love it.
Alternate universe. You know, it's an alternate universe when there were Zeppelins.
It's always true. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, cool world building stuff for sure. Definitely one of my favorite things about this and the thing I enjoyed. Then we talk about the story. The story of this film, which to me is set off by a villain just being villainous for no reason. The part where he kicks Tom off of the ledge when he didn't have to do that. Tom told him the name Hester Shaw, and he was like, "You know too much, you have to die."
At least he was consistent, though, because he sank an entire prison for having heard the name Hester Shaw.
True.
Like, this dude, like, that's his line. If you know her name, I will destroy you. So he has, like, a strong, for lack of a better word, like, code of ethics. You know this name, I will destroy you. Done.
But he was, like, a leader of their society. Why didn't he just lie to people and be like, it's not important. Don't listen to the crazy assassin being or the crazy girl who stabbed me. Just tell Tom, I don't know what she was talking about.
Like, you feel like the power of gaslighting will be strong enough?
Absolutely.
I mean, you're probably not wrong, but you know, he's very much a completionist, clearly, where he's like, no, we're not going to take any chances, just death, which I actually, like, that was a change from the book, and I'm totally fine with it. Like, I think it worked.
I don't know, but like in the very beginning, when Tom first meets Elrond, or whatever his name is in this movie,
his
Hugo
name
Weaving.
is Valentine.
Right, last name Valentine, I guess, or maybe his first name.
No, last name Valentine, because his daughter is Catherine Valentine.
That's right. But Tom like idolizes him and is trying to like impress him with his toaster knowledge.
Look at my toaster stuff. I'm so smart about toasters.
Which that moment felt like very Ready Player One. It's like, oh, we're gonna have our characters know stuff about the 1990s or the 80s or whatever, and that's gonna be our cool inside joke to the modern audience. But yeah, I think Tom would have trusted him. He already trusted him.
I know what you mean.
It was unnecessary, and that kicked off the entire plot. Was Tom being sent off into the wasteland with Hester.
The Outlands.
The Outlands. The Wasteland Outlands.
It's kind of the same, yeah.
And then we proceed to what I wrote down as Deus Ex Machina, the movie.
I mean, kind of true, because the god is essentially in the machine, although Medusa, despite Greek mythology standards, was not a god. But I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, from that point on, everything happens exactly when it needs to happen for our heroes to survive and make it to the next stage.
Right.
And that kind of doesn't really do it for me as far as storytelling. For it to be that level of coincidences.
Convenient.
Yes, convenient coincidences. I need there to actually be like some magic in the world. Like maybe a prophecy or the power of destiny introduced at some point instead of it just happening randomly. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It all does stitch together very neatly. I don't know. Maybe the book lowered my standards so much that I'm like, this is fine.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, I'm telling you, I did not enjoy that.
Okay, so what was so bad about the book, or like what was different about the book? Because we just watched the movie, and hopefully anyone listening also just watched the movie to suffer through with us. What was different about it?
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of mix up our whole process and format a little bit because I am going to touch
Whatever.
on some of my least favorite things.
Go for it.
Okay, so like I said, world building wise, excellent. Like
Okay.
the world building in the book is brilliant, and I think that the movie carried that through as well.
So very similar.
Oh, super similar. Yeah.
You had like the Outlands and Don't Go South, and you had like the marauding bands of
The Don't Go
people.
South thing didn't really exist in the book. It was
Okay.
definitely like a function of the film so that things happened the way they needed to happen, which, okay, fine. The thing in the book that really annoyed me, and this is extremely hashtag written by a dude,
Mm.
is that like emotions are very flat. I didn't find it to be terribly emotionally deep. And those emotions that did try to dig deep, I felt like really missed the mark.
Hmm.
Also, every single female character in the book is couched in how she looks. Some kind
Interesting.
of physical attribute of hers. And not only is this extremely tired, it is sexist. And now, okay, we're gonna start a new segment that will not always be recurring, but it's happening today.
Okay, I'm very curious. You're springing this on me too.
All right, ladies, gents, and gentle thems, please sit down, make yourselves comfortable, and welcome to Dana's Aggressive Positivity Corner.
Okay. All right. Hit him with it.
Here's the thing. Okay, so in the movie, Hester had scars on her face. They kind of
Right.
went from like her cheek down to her chin.
Hmm.
In the book, it's way worse where like she's basically like missing a whole eye and like part of her nose. And my gosh, it's such a big freaking deal
Hmm.
is made about how ugly she is. And they did this in the film a lot too. And okay, so here's the thing. As someone who has scars and who has like at one point in her life internalized what society says about scars, where like they're a thing to be like seen as repulsive and a thing to be
Mhm.
disgusted by, and like internalize that, as someone who has now learned to love herself and what those scars represent, I'm here to tell anyone out there who has also internalized these things the way that I did, that you know what? Your scars bloody well mean that you survived. And that is a beautiful thing all by itself. I need you to hold that in your heart and just know that you are strong because you survived. And all of this BS, I'm trying so hard not to swear. All of this BS about like, oh, scars, it's so ugly. Meh, meh, meh. Shut up. Like, it's so much BS. You are so strong. I am so proud of you for surviving. And you need to know that you are beautiful as well as tough. Thank you very much. This has been Dana's Aggressive Positivity Corner.
So when you see someone's scars, you're like, holy crap, I don't want to know like what you defeated.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like
Yeah.
you maybe beat death. You maybe like survived a horribly painful thing. I'm so proud of you. Like you went through, whether it was like emotional or physical or emotional, whatever battles, and you came through the other side, and I'm so freaking proud of you.
All right.
Yeah.
So
It's a tired trope. And like, yes, they do the thing where like, oh my gosh, actually, it turns out that it doesn't really matter how people look. It's just their personality. What? This is such a tired trope. I'm so over it. We are beyond this. It needs to not be a thing anymore. We just need to like just move along.
agreed. But can we talk about a positive physical attribute? Did they describe in the book Anna Fang as having the coolest hair on the
she
face of
did
the
have
planet?
the coolest hair on the planet. They did not. Instead, her description included the fact that she has red teeth, which
Okay.
is from like a herb that she chews. And it helps with like air sickness, essentially. It's kind of described in the same way as like seasickness, but because they're in the air, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not really fleshed out in the movie.
No, that's not addressed at all.
I don't think she had red teeth. I didn't
She
notice it
didn't.
anyway.
No, she didn't in the film.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just kind of like a little throwaway thing in the book. It was just some cool like world building or whatever.
But instead, they give her fantastic hair.
I mean, she had the coolest hair ever. I was not gonna lie. I was like, how can I do that with my hair? Not gonna lie. I was like trying to think of a way to do it.
You probably can't, but that's okay.
Oh, I mean, with enough hairspray, anything is possible.
All right, you go for it then. You go for it.
So yeah. Oh, also fun fact about Anna Fang, who, like I said, I want to be like when I grow up. In the book, and they say it one time during the movie.
Okay.
It's like a little bitty, like super fast line, but her nickname is the Windflower.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Oh, like Captain Cora says it like when they're like kind of going off to battle, and it's just sort of in the middle of a sentence, and you really have to know what you're looking for to catch it. Because I was waiting. I was like, where's your cool nickname?
So you mentioned Captain Cora, and we've got Anna, sort of that whole troop of characters from Behind the Wall.
The Anti-Traction League.
The Anti-Traction League. Kind of that whole entire cast of characters in the movie just gets thrown in for like the last 30 minutes.
Yeah. They're a huge part in the book.
I figured that they did. We barely meet them in the movie. I didn't catch any of their names except Anna's because they said it a couple times near the end. So for me, when they had that final battle, a lot of that fell flat because people were like sacrificing themselves and giving it all for the cause. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Why do I care?
I know. And like, this is such a hard part because I missed so much of that too. The first time we watched it, like I remember the first time I was like, I don't know so much of what is going on. I don't really understand. And that's such a hard thing when you do adapt a book. Cause like, my gosh, there is so much in this book to adapt that like I think Peter Jackson, like he really tried hard to do it justice, but I just don't know that there was enough time.
No, for sure, which is why I was thinking if you really wanted to tell this story fully and effectively, it would have to be at least 2 movies.
Unlike what they did with The Hobbit, where they made The Hobbit into 3 movies. Right. It's not like an equal equation. It doesn't work this way like always with all books to movies. I just want to make that clear.
Or maybe this should have been like a 10-episode Netflix series.
Oh, there we go. That's something.
I
also want to say, I don't know if Philip Reeve was involved at all in the production of this. I didn't see his name anywhere except in like based on the book by Philip Reeve in the very beginning. I just have to say, anytime Neil Gaiman has been involved with the production of something, like with Good Omens, or Philip Pullman with the production of his Dark Materials, it's been excellent.
Yeah.
It's been really good. Like his Dark Materials destroyed me the same way that the books initially did. And I haven't been able to go back yet, but I need to catch up on that series.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think this would have worked really well as like a 10-episode series.
No, you're right.
On some sort of streamer. You could have had the first episode where we get to know our main characters and how they're at odds, and maybe learn some of the backstory a little bit instead of having it just be in flashbacks. Maybe develop the relationship between Hester and Tom more, which in the film, to me, I wrote it down that like it seemed very forced in the beginning. They were thrown together. She was like, I would have left you, and he was like looking after her. It didn't seem like their connection in the beginning was very earned. It was kind of just the plot needs them to be together. But by the end, they had been through enough together.
Sure.
It kind of works at the end, but the beginning was very like contrived, I felt like.
I think that could have been helped in one way, a simple way. So in the book, she gets shot in the leg during her attack on Valentine.
Okay.
And then so she is dependent on Tom from the get-go. And I think that would have helped a lot.
Yeah, because the way the movie did it, they both just kind of get dumped out into the Outlands.
And they're all fine, basically.
She gets shot in the leg while they're escaping the Marauders.
Right. And then immediately are captured by, I forget their name, but the ones who basically try to sell them into slavery.
Yes. They seem like they're being helpful, but as soon as they walked into that room, I was like, that's going to be a locked door they can't get out of.
Yeah.
Saw that coming. So, yeah, I think their relationship kind of works by the end. It's not that bad, but a lot of the other characters don't really get a lot of time to shine or for us to get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shrike.
Oh boy, Shrike's whole story is very interesting.
I think that if it was a 10-episode series, that would have been a whole episode dedicated to Shrike.
Yeah.
Just about
right.
him, and then he would have been sprinkled in through the other episodes as well. But we would have gotten to know him like really well in that.
Can I share with you a fun fact about his name?
Sure.
Okay, so Shrike is the name of a group of birds, and they are also called butcher birds because they impale their prey on thorns.
Oh.
And like, I just think that's such a cool name.
I'm afraid of these birds.
Oh, like I said, they're called butcher birds for a reason. It's extremely cool.
They impale their prey on thorns?
Yeah, you've been bird fact.
Wow. And I'm now scared of birds.
Oh, you should be.
I guess so. I mean, I thought they might not be real, but I guess they're murderous and very real.
What, shrikes?
No, birds.
Oh. Incredible. Birds are all just an illusion. It's a government conspiracy.
Hey, it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But Shrike is cool.
Yeah, Shrike is very cool.
And it's a little bit, I think it works how they turn it around where Hugo Weaving thinks, oh, this hunter is going to go kill Hester.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then you find out later it's that Shrike is, yes, going to kill her so that they can be together as
Only
automatons.
Temporarily.
It's sort of sweet. Maybe if they did more with it. Is it sweet in the book? I
mean,
guess?
it's kind of sweet. And actually, I like it a little bit better the way they did in the book. It's pretty close, though.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, like, he did have this plan to turn her into, like, an
undead, resurrected man.
A resurrected person, yeah. And she was on board. Like, she was just like in the film, like, she was on board with it. And she was
because of her pain and suffering.
Oh, yeah,
and
like,
she had
why not?
lived a life that she wanted to forget.
Yeah.
But we don't get to really spend enough time to get that.
Right.
We don't really know who she is.
Yeah. And so she was a fan. But it wasn't quite the same way. Like, he definitely saw her, and I think they kind of tried to get this through the film, but I don't think it came through quite as much. Like, as a daughter kind of thing. And he didn't chase her because she broke a promise. Like, he actually chased her in kind of a weird parental way, actually, which also works. Where like she had told him, like, I'm gonna go kill Valentine, and he's like, okay, and then he ends up following her because he kind of wants to see how she does. Again, kind of like a proud parent, but in like a horrible, murderous way. And then like in the book, actually, she's like, was it a test? Did I pass? And they never really answer that, but like Shrike is definitely like was like in his POV, because he's one of the POVs that we get, like he's proud of her, and it's like, oh, that's kind of sweet in a horrible way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting his POV would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, like it honestly, one of the things I don't like about the book, besides the fact that a hashtag written by a dude, those problems, it's so dark. It's so dark, and like it kind of, to me anyway, goes past gritty, and it sort of breaks a couple of cardinal rules of YA. One of which is that one of the things about YA is you always leave people with hope, and there is no hope left at the end of that book.
Oh no!
Everybody dies just about, and in fact, they kill the dog. There's a dog in the book. You spend time with the dog. You love the dog. And then they kill the dog.
Well, that's how you know they're bad people.
It's really bad. I was at that point, I was like, I am tired of this book and I can't wait for it to be over.
Oh, no. Yeah. Fun fact for everyone out there. How to lose Dana. Kill a dog in your story.
Full disclosure. And please don't hate me. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I have killed a dog in a book. I know. I'm sorry. And okay.
I gave her a look. That was the reaction. I gave her a look.
He gave me a hard look. I would never do that again. I was a younger writer. And while I think my reasons are good, I think now looking back, it was too much. It's too dark. I don't write books that dark now.
Okay. It's a choice.
It was a choice. I'm never going to make that choice again. I don't want to say never, but like, I'm probably never going to make that choice again. Like, I know myself better as a writer now. And like, it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we digress.
Right.
Speaking of digressions, I'm going to use this opportunity to digress in a completely opposite direction.
All right, do it.
One thing about the actor who played Hester, Hera Hilmar is her name.
Okay.
She is very much how I envision Lenore in my Broken Gears books.
Oh, okay.
Very, very much. So, fun fact there.
All right. Future casting notes.
Yeah.
So, I have a few things that maybe we'll get to some of our just bullet point favorite and least favorite things about this film. Some of my, I don't know if they're favorite or least favorite, were some of what I thought were ridiculous things the first hour of the movie.
Okay.
One of them, obviously, when Hugo Weaving like goes bad, he goes super bad for no reason. Then there's the trope of, oh, but someone saw it and knows the secret. And then he slips up and says the name Hester Shaw to his daughter for no reason. I thought that was pretty wild. And during that whole sequence, I wrote down, are there no adults? Because there's all these teenagers that are handling the historical artifacts and the future past technology and spying on the bad guy and stuff.
That's also kind of a keystone of YA, is that like all of the adults are mysteriously absent. Like we do away with the adults one way or another.
But we don't know why. Where do they all go? They talk about Tom's parents being, they were wonderful people.
Oh, they were dead.
But they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead.
In some horrible accident.
It's the big tilt.
Oh, right,
Which
right.
honestly is the world building is really cool. Like it's a cool world building thing that like this is a natural disaster that can happen when you have mobile cities. So yeah.
A thing I thought was funny was from the very beginning, the big Predator city is British. Because of course it is. The world resets and Britain becomes the conqueror of all worlds. I mean,
there are some other really big cities that we don't get to see. And it was funny because as I was reading it, I started conflating scenes from the book from scenes that didn't actually happen in the movie, but I was thinking they happened. And I think it's just because of my vivid imagination. Like I was imagining them happening in the movie setting. Like I completely invented a scene in the film.
Oh, really?
Fully.
Wow.
Although what
happened?
I put actors in that like are not in this film. So in the book, actually, there is a scene where the historians are standing up against the engineers because the engineers are kind of pulling a bit of a coup on the just like on the city in general.
Right.
And
which in the movie happens at the end, basically.
It sort of does. We don't really see it. We hear about it in passing. So, but in the book,
they do like kill the leader of the city, the mayor.
Oh yeah, the mayor.
We see that.
No, but that didn't happen in the book. So that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like
so a different coup.
A bunch of engineers come to the museum because like the historians are up to something to try and stop the engineers from doing what they're doing and helping Kate and stuff with what she's doing. And they like gather up all of these weapons from throughout the ages that they happen to have in exhibits. So there's like a cannon from old-timey wars. There are guns. There's like some like, I don't know, like 22nd century like ray guns or something.
What?
Like just this whole collection. They're all like wearing armor from through the ages and stuff. It sounds extremely cool. And in my head, I invented a movie scene. Like I said, starring people who did not star in this movie. Like, do you remember the old guy from The Fifth Element? The guy who was like the head monk?
Oh, yeah.
I put him in the scene
the guy who
in
played
my
Bilbo.
head. Yeah, that guy. So like I put him in the scene
and from
in
Alien,
my head.
I can't remember his name, but
I don't remember his name either.
Yeah.
But like, and I envisioned this whole scene that did not actually happen in the movie, but I invented it in my head.
That's kind of incredible.
I know. Like it was kind of funny, just the way that it all kind of conflated. And then we watched and I was like, oh wait, no, that never actually happened. I made that up.
Yep. You just invented a scene with Ian Holm in it.
I really wanted that to happen. I'm not going to lie.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have directed an episode of the series that was on Netflix.
I would have loved to in this pretend series we've created.
Right. Our headcanon is going to be this like better property that exists in our mind.
Our headcanon's going to be amazing.
So much better than the actual film or book.
I mean, again, I didn't hate everything about the movie. I actually enjoyed the movie a lot, but that might have just been because I really didn't like the book.
Yeah.
I will say too, the ending of the film was much stronger, in my opinion, than the ending of the book. Like,
oh, really?
Kate had like a whole scene in the book, and I felt like,
who is Kate again? You keep saying Kate.
oh, she's the blonde.
Oh, the daughter of
Valentine's daughter.
Valentine. Got it. Yeah.
So like in the book, she had this whole scene, and the rug kind of got pulled out from under her, because in the end, it's not her own actions that cause her to like help save the day. It's all kind of accidental. I was really pissed off about that too.
Oh, interesting.
Like, because I don't like a passive ending.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna do something, do it. Like, even if it's like mildly accidental, like, I think that's better than like what happened with her. I don't know. It just sort of
so in
me.
the book, was she like part of the cheering crowds as the city like attacked everything in sight?
You know, it's interesting because we do see that evolution in the characters where in the very beginning they're like, yeah, a catch. They're so excited. Da 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 da. It's amazing. And then they like all realize like this is actually kind of awful.
Yeah, it is awful.
Yeah.
It's really awful, especially because I wrote my notes here. It seems like the anti-tractionists are guilty of the crime of sitting behind a wall and trying to live peacefully in one place.
Right. Yeah.
That's their crime.
But that's actually a thing. Like, that's discussed. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like unnatural to do that. Like the way they talk about it. And it is very much that thing of like any culture that's different than us is obviously like backwards and dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And like, again, I do feel like this trope is a little bit tired.
But at least you're saying that in the book, they established that as like a mindset of the people. That
it's very much a mindset.
That they knew about the lifestyle of the anti-tractionists and they detested it for whatever stupid reason, but at least it was established. In the movie, it was just, they're the anti-tractionists. And in my head in the beginning, it's like, oh, well, they must be like terrorists. They must be coming after you or something. No, they're just sitting behind a wall trying to live.
In the book, they do commit some light acts of terrorism.
They
sank another city.
But none of that is shown either in the
no,
movie.
I know.
We don't see
and
any of it.
Again, it's hard because they packed so much into 2 hours.
They needed to have like an episode and a half dedicated to that at least. I also found it kind of funny and anti-funny that in future reset of the world timeline, Britain gets a weapon of mass destruction and just immediately attacks Asia. Some kind of commentary in there.
I know what you mean.
Of like history repeating itself.
I felt a little bit too of like, we don't go south. Maybe some commentary happening there on like, you know, the southern states, like how they all wanted to keep slavery and now we don't go south.
Huh, maybe?
I mean, I am
maybe
fully, I'm stretching, like that may not be a thing at all. I'm totally just like, you know, we're not movie critics. We don't know, but yeah, it kind of gave me that same thing. Yeah. And it definitely felt a little colonialism-y as they like, as London goes and attacks the Great Wall.
Right.
What is ostensibly a Great Wall.
But you know, it's okay. You know, making fun of the British is still punching up. So
it's true, yeah.
We can do
that.
They
owned a quarter of the world for, you know, however long. It's a fine.
Couple other tropey things thrown in there. There's I'll give you the signal. What's the signal? Oh, you'll know.
I love that trope. I don't care.
Really?
I love that trope so much. Like,
it's so cheesy.
Because often I feel like that is one thing that maybe it's just hard to not hit the mark with that. But I feel like that's something that just lands extremely often because they did the same thing in Ted Lasso when they're like, how will I know? You'll know. And then they all like flick him off, like four people in a row just giving him the finger. And he was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, at least that was obvious.
Yeah. This was obvious too.
I guess it was just the ship coming in and shooting.
It literally came in guns blazing.
Yeah. A sad trope. Everyone dies to help the main character at the end.
Yeah.
They just all sacrifice themselves.
A bit. Yeah. I mean, it was also to, you know, save Shanguo.
Yeah, just to save their people.
All of the peoples. So there's that.
Right.
It was, you know, for the greater good.
And then the part where Hester faces off against Valentine. She's holding the gun. Just shoot him.
I know.
Just shoot him. Don't let him monologue you into being distracted.
I got sort of annoyed with that too. Even though like I knew it was going to turn out okay. I'm like, oh, you should have done it. Just should have pulled the trigger. And I've seen that happen in other things and it makes me happy every time.
Yeah, there needs to be how it should have ended. That's just the scene where he starts monologuing and she shoots him in the face.
Yep.
It's like, okay,
done.
End of movie, done. Yeah. it would have been interesting to have an episode just among the rich people as they're cheering all of the kills.
It's not just the rich people though. Like it's kind of like a whole like citywide thing. Because again, municipal Darwinism, it's almost like the religion of the people without it actually being a religion.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like actually funny enough, they do actually have multiple other gods, but like municipal Darwinism is sort of seen as like, this is the right and moral way to live. Like living any other way is just wrong.
Anything else from your notes?
So I do have a favorite part from the film.
Okay.
So basically it's while Valentine is like walking and that, I forget his name, Malefant. He's like the third level, what do you call it? Like initiate or apprentice? Oh yeah. The guy who was like kind of bullying our main character, Tom.
Oh, in the beginning, the guy who saw through the window, Tom opening the cache of old tech. He just happened to be there and see him opening the thing while he's talking to someone else.
Yeah, he's definitely a snake. But like, so I really love where he meets up with Valentine, I don't know, like midway through the film or something. And he says, your daughter's a good friend of mine. And Valentine's just like, no, she's not. Like, that's such a good and super brief way to like kind of turn that trope on its head. The trope of just like, I totally don't think he's coming from like a way of like, my daughter's not allowed to have male friends, but just like, I would have heard about you.
Right.
And just like its face, it just falls.
He's trying to be like, I'm the cool like quarterback of the football team, jock guy that everybody likes. And he's like, nah, you're not it.
Yeah. He's like, no. And yeah, so that honestly, like that part gave me joy. I really, really liked that part.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
And like I said, like the world building in it is extremely cool. Like I do actually wish that more movies and books and stuff had world building this good. So those are kind of like my high points, I'll be honest. And again, maybe having seen the book kind of ruined things for me in a way, or seen the book, having read the book.
I saw that point it out. I saw the book too. I didn't read it.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it ruined it for me or maybe it made it better. I honestly don't know. Because then once it's in your head, like you can't separate it, or at least I can't.
Yeah. Man, this is going to be an interesting one to like sum up here. I mean, we kind of talked about some of my favorite, least favorite things. My favorite part is the opening sequence. It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's great. It pulls you into the world. And I think besides that, I like the idea of this story that we've built in our heads based on the book and the movie and this fictional 10-episode series that maybe they'll make a sequel to and have a season 2.
Yeah, make a sequel to the series that does not exist.
Yeah. I mean, the writers would have to like retcon some stuff to be able to continue the story.
Look,
Shrike comes back, like Shrike makes a return for season 2.
I could see that.
Yeah, that would be a thing.
Although I have to say, they're redoing The Lord of the Rings again when we do not need a new Lord of the Rings. Like the one that came out, 15 years ago is great, but they're doing it. So, who's to say they couldn't do this?
Wait, what? They're doing in the movies again?
Yeah, did you not know this?
No.
Oh, honey.
Okay, we're going to have like a side conversation about this. I knew about the like TV series on Amazon that's the prequel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, different conversation.
Okay.
People tweet at us at SteamPoweredPod. Talk to us about the Lord of the Rings remake. Give us all of your thoughts and takes.
Also about this movie too, I guess. Or the book or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry for spoiling all of these details.
Well, hope you enjoyed listening anyway.
Yeah, this whole episode has been a roller coaster.
For real.
Feeling very passionate.
Well, every good roller coaster comes to an end, and we end this one with
look at you. That's such a good segue.
rating the films that we watch. First, we rate it based on how steampunk it is on a scale of 1 to 5 steam engines. Dana, how steampunk do you think this movie is?
Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to give it. We're going to get really granular here.
Oh, right. Yeah, push your glasses up and give it a rating.
Okay. So, I'm giving it 4.75.
What? No.
Yes. Okay, and let me tell you why. I'm going
Okay.
to justify my answer. So obviously, we had all the steam technology in the beginning, that great opening scene, like
Right.
basically the city that folded away. Like that's all extremely cool.
Yeah.
However, I'm docking it 0.25 steam engines because the fashions, I don't really know what was going on. Fashion follows reason. It follows trends. And the fashion in the film was just all over the place. So I'm here at the last moment. I'm docking it just a little bit because that was a mess. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think that that's bogus. You doing 0.75
Okay,
points.
I don't know what you want. Like, give it. Okay, then give it 5
I think
or 4. Whatever.
I think 4 is a good landing place for
Fine,
it.
4.
I'll make my case for that. The opening and all the stuff based on the steam power is great. I think I give actually the fashion a pass because they're not going for Victorian. This is like a reset of the timeline far in the future. So this is like a new Victorian era.
I disagree with your reasoning on this, but we don't have the time.
Okay. So I think that's fine that they do their own thing and maybe it's a mishmash. Where I dock it, though, the 1 point is that, well, one, it's not like traditional steampunk. That would be the most steampunk if it was set in Victorian. Is that there's not as much gadgetry. You know, there's not like a lot of handheld steampunky gadgetry.
See what you're saying.
It's all big scale, giant engines that power the cities, but you know, their flying machines are kind of more different, air powered. The guns are like a whole different era, maybe more futuristic even. So I think it's not quite as steampunk as it could be, but like super solid. I think 4 steam engines.
Okay, I can agree with 4 based on the gadgetry and the sort of the mishmash that it was. Fine, that's fine.
Cool. So we've settled on that, and then we also will rate this film based on not how perfectly made it is or how many Oscars it deserves, but how much we enjoyed watching it this time.
Oscars are bogus. You can quote me on that.
Okay.
But anyway.
More strong hot takes from Dana on this one.
Fight me.
So, Dana, on a scale of 1 to 5 gears, how much did you enjoy watching Mortal Engines today?
Oh, this is so hard because, again, I feel like having read the book was both kind of a blessing and a curse. But as far as just enjoying the film, I actually, like I said, I enjoyed it more this time. But I think that's because I had a lot deeper context for it. So, actually, watching this film this time, and because I enjoyed it way more than the book, I'm gonna give it 4.
Yeah?
Yeah. So 4 gears from me.
4 gears.
I have to say, if you have not read the book, I don't know that you're going to enjoy it as much because, gosh, there's a lot of stuff that, like, you just, unless you're paying extremely close attention, you're probably not going to get.
Yeah.
So, but having read the book now, I've raised my score and I'm giving it 4.
Okay. I think that's fair. I will give it a rating of 1 to 5 top hats. And I'm struggling on this one.
Yeah?
Because I think I had a pretty good time watching it.
Oh, good.
And
was that the alcohol?
I don't know. Maybe so. That might factor into these ratings from time to time. But I did enjoy it, probably partially because I'd seen it before and I knew a little bit of what to expect, but I didn't honestly remember a lot of the details. But so I knew kind of what was coming. My expectations were kind of low as far as the story being super satisfying. I'm going to say 3.5. I'm going to go half. I think that's fair. 3.5 top hats. I can't quite give it 4. It's got to be pretty dang good for me to give it 4.
Okay.
5 is perfect, which is going to be really hard.
I mean, like Howl's Moving Castle, I think got 5 from us.
Yeah, that was a 5.
Yeah.
So this one did a rough approximation of the premise of Howl's Moving Castle.
I didn't actually think about that, but you're right.
This was Shrike's lumbering city.
Oh my.
And I'll give it 3.5 top hats. Edging towards 4, but 3.5 is probably where it should be.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. That's our opinions. That's our thoughts. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. Tweet at us at SteamPoweredPod. Go to steampoweredmovies.com for more information and details about all the episodes that we have available on all the steampunk movies we've watched so far and will watch in the future. Dana, any last thoughts or final word?
Mike, How will I know when it's time to stop talking on the podcast?
Oh, Dana, you'll know. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time for more. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.